Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and one thing that I've been thinking about and putting some information down for actually way too long. I'm looking at my notes here that I was going through was the end of the life of products, and when should a product be determined that it is end of life? And, I'm looking in the tech sector and I'm kind of going through everything from like network side stuff, laptops, desktops, you know, um, anything computer related. And a lot of this stuff can last a really long time if taken care of and it doesn't, break down and it's still useful and can be used. I got some, really old machines running, all over the place. And sometimes it's been great, other times it's been, you know, uh, they break down and I have to get rid of them. But overall, I have to say that, you know, having some products out there, and let's say it is a motherboard with BIOS, after so many years, you just stop getting BIOS updates. And actually, the AM4 platform, I've been pleasantly surprised with them still getting BIOS updates now, even though that the AM5, the AM4 platform, my bad, but the AM5 platform has been out for a year, and the AM4 platform has still gotten those BIOS updates. So I've been really impressed with where those have gone because some of those boards are, 5 years old. And they're still getting it. And I like to see that because with a lot of these advanced processors, there's a lot more security flaws and everything else and the processors are still very useful and still can be used and still are operational and can play games and everything else. So, I think that that is, one thing that they did a really good job with. Now, on the other side of things, you start seeing some of this network gear, and network gear can run a really long time. And some of their stuff is, 3 years. And while you can maybe buy extended support, sometimes that's not an option for, um, you know, homeowners or just an individual, but businesses kind of have that option, or maybe even some areas where they just say not an option at all. And that is, I think, the disappointing side, right? Because while you know the support for a product, right, you may not be able to repair, or and then if you can't repair it, I think third party um, repair shops should be able to have should just repair them, right, if they want and they want to support it, right, if that third party says we'll take a look, we'll repair it. I think that should be an option, an avenue for people to repair it if it's a physical part of this. But a software part of it, how long are we going to support, right? You've laid out a lot of money for a device, for a motherboard, for, CPU, software, right? And then how long does that be able to be support? And the other side of this is I think that all these companies should have a well stated policy on this. And one reason why is, people should know going in what it is, right? People should know going in, hey, this is how long the device will be supported. And we've seen with Android, like with Google now, with their phones, I think it's like 7 years. Now we'll see if that actually holds, but supporting just a device for 7 years, that's going to get a lot of life out of the device, and you're going to have a lot of upgrades and OS, the security updates. I think that's good. That kind of makes the person that's going to use the device more than a year, and a lot of people do. I can get on board and I can actually keep using this device into the future, and that's what I want. And the one side about this is that it doesn't create a lot of e-waste that way, right? You're reducing the amount of e-waste that is happening because if the device is still working, why get rid of it? Why throw it out? Maybe you are one to be on the cutting edge, but instead of throwing it out, why don't you, sell it, get it to somebody else and let them reap the benefits for it. But if it stops having software updates, while you could still do that, you're kind of leaving the device is kind of out there being high and dry and not having it or having a reliable side of things. I personally think kind of, companies are kind of like on a 5 year refresh. So, or many of them are. So maybe stuff needs to have at least 5 years of support. And if you buy in the last year, that's 5 years from the date you buy. You know, a company may want to EOL a product, but you kind of the end of life of a product maybe needs to have a an advanced. You know, we're going to end of life it down the line. And this is with a big enough notification so that within that you know, let's say a 5 year cycle, let's say you buy it on day one, 5 years later, they've announced, and then 5 years later, you know it's going to be end of life. At least then you can have a plan to replace those products in an enterprise environment. Now, for a individual, you're going to have to figure that out too and be on that cycle. I would like something longer, you know, because depending upon what it is, it's going to last longer. And, you know, that's where this is a balancing act. You know, I actually like open source software. One reason is for this aspect of it. You know, we'll see if BIOSes and, you know, hardware manufacturers and stuff start open sourcing certain code for things, you know, or, you know, Core Boot is a nice option, right? And the people can update it with things and they can still update their own products and still run them. I think that's um, a nice option for people, you know, getting it out there. And let's say you're not going to develop the software anymore and there's no upgrade path and there's nothing else and you're getting out of the business. I'd actually like to see that software be open source, be released, so that people can use it. I'm in a scenario right now. I'm trying to find some software for somebody, and it's an old piece of software, not anywhere that I've been able to find yet. So I'm trying to work all through that, and we'll see. We'll see if I actually get it found, and we'll see if I can contact the company, get a working version, because it's not selling. It requires a key. There's a whole multitude of stuff. You know, does that key activation still work in the back end? I've read no in some areas. So there's item like this that need to be taken care of and need to be addressed. You know, for me, I like to see a 10-year, you know, support. I get that you're going to need more. Maybe that might drive up the cost of the products a little bit, but you know, a lot of times people hold on to stuff for a little bit longer. And is it worth it for a company? Now, I do think that if let's say a company offers a little bit more support, we've seen this with power supplies. They've gone up to 10 years. One company does it, a lot of the other companies do follow because they don't want to be left out of that and they want everyone to stand by their support. Now, you have a lot fewer power supply manufacturers. A lot of people will just slap their label on it, but that is just one option, right? We've seen with Google here with the phone that they're going to offer 7 years. They've said 7 years. We'll see how much they commit to their new phones this year. What was Pixel 8? If that keeps supported, that will be a huge option. Probably make a lot of other Android phone manufacturers also say we're going to be getting out 7 years updates as well. And when you start doing that, you know when you're buying into a product and people are backing up for those 7 years. And we'll, you know, as we go into the future, we'll see how many companies hold their word. People are going to be more comfortable with that product, more comfortable to recommend it. And I think it's actually going to drive more people to wanting to buy that product. We've seen this in the car industry here in the United States a little bit more, but you've seen, you know, the Japanese companies were very slow at first against the American companies, right? People didn't know to trust their quality and everything else. And over time, they were focused on fixing things and fixing the quality. And what happened is they were now outselling a lot of the American brands or all the American brands. And I see that with, you know, supporting of a product too, because as it's not, you know, so much the quality side of it, while that matters here, I think a lot of this is the support of the product because of all the security flaws. And as that gets pushed further and further into you know, into the future, and people want to have that support, people are going to recommend about who is supporting their products the longest to make sure that they're the best product. You look at Microsoft's, you know, Windows 11 here with the artificial requirements, and I say artificial, while there may be a valid reason, they have not came out with a good valid reason before. I get for maybe on a business standpoint, but from an individual user, what is that, you know, artificial having this generation processor is supposed to do, right? I have a older processor right here running Windows 11, bypassing the TPM stuff, and it works perfectly fine. Right now, Microsoft says you may not get the security updates and stuff, but that's another thing where is it why not, right? You can just do that, and I think they should actually make it, open for the people that, at least personal users to upgrade, have an upgrade path for their laptops to Windows 11. It'll also help reduce the amount of e-waste that would happen for, if you had to get rid of all the computers that can't just go up to it. It also, I think, would make Microsoft look better and with their image, and these are sort of things that I think companies are going to have to more, I'd say more look at in the future, because I think people are going to be more conscious of just, the machine still works. Why do I have to get rid of it, right? This network stuff still works. Wait, it doesn't get updates anymore, but it still works. Do I have to get rid of it? And companies are going to be like, everything still works. Our network is fine. We're, trying to add on and expand, not just, just have to replace for the sake of replacing a switch that still works, right? And I think that we, Louis Rossmann with repairing and the right to repair and everything else, I think products should have that ability to elongate their life and not shorten it because of what a company wants. And so let me know what your thoughts are on the end-of-life products. Um, Let me know what you think should be done with them, how many years you like to see. We have everything from RMAs and everything else, and some companies are better than others. But let me know what your thoughts are on the end-of-life of products, how it should be approached, especially with the software side. I get you can't support everything forever, but there should be a happy medium. And I feel like 4 years may not be enough on the software side of things. So with that, thank you so much for supporting Gray Overload and helping this channel grow. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It really does help with the channel a lot. Until next time, God bless.